Hey everybody, this is Tracy here with another edition of A View from Tracy's Point, and we are here to recap Married to Medicine Season 5, Episode 14, which was titled In the Black. So before we get started, you guys, I have to say thank you to all my new subscribers. Thank you for those who've been with me for the past year. Thank you for your continued support. If you are watching the videos and you like what you see, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I love the comments and I love the feedback. So I do better when you guys encourage me to do better. So let's go ahead and get started. So when the show first opens up, we get these little snippets of what's going on with the couples, and they're usually uneventful. But on this episode, we did have one where it was Toya and Dr. Eugene, and basically Toya doesn't want to cut back on her wine spending, even if it means Eugene would work less hours, because his blood pressure when they were in Barbados was like 180 over 110, which is totally ridiculous. Now y'all know why Heavenly was asking those questions, because she know that Toya and Eugene got some things going on, and I think Toya was talking to Dr. Jackie when she was saying this, and she was looking at her like, girl, are you crazy? Like, your man, you having expensive wine is more important than your husband's health. So Toya really need to watch some of the stuff that comes out her mouth, whether she means it or not. Let's head over to Dr. Heavenly. So Heavenly and Jewel have another little session. Jewel had came in to get some dental work done. And so after the appointment, they go and they sit down, and Heavenly shares with her, what all happened with the couples trip. And she felt that she had failed the couples, because of how things went down on the last night that they were there. So Jewel feels that if Heavenly and Dr. Damon had opened up more and been a part of the little Q&A thing they had going on, and that they were willing to be vulnerable, then the couples would have opened up more and received where she was coming from. And like, you can't be leading people if you're not willing to share your story or what you've been through, to kind of help them understand that, hey, we've been through some things, but we made it through, so let us be the example for you. We learned that the couples did DNA testing while they were in Barbados, because Heavenly, I guess, going through the whole thing of researching Damon's family, which was the basis of the trip, she thought that it would be a good idea for, the couples to do this DNA testing. So she had these kits shipped over to them, and everybody did the test. And so now she wants to do like a DNA reveal party, as a way of making up to the couples for how things turned out. But Heavenly decides to call Toya and tell Toya, her idea for the party. And Toya thinks that it's a good idea. She just doesn't want to repeat of what happened in Barbados. And so Heavenly lets her know that she wants everyone to wear African attire. And I thought that was a cute little idea. And speaking of African attire, I have yet to see Black Panther, and it's not because I don't support the movie, it's because I don't go to the movies, period. I was telling someone that I've been to, I'm trying to do better, and I've probably been to 3 movies more in the past 3 years than I've been to in the last 15 years. So last year I supported Girls Trip. The year before that I supported Birth of a Nation, and the year before that I supported Selma. And then it was like I think the last movie I may have went to before Selma was, I don't know, it's been that long. but I think I'm going to go see Black Panther this week. And if I go see it, I'll do a movie review, let you guys know what I thought about it. And I'm letting you guys know I probably won't go see A Wrinkle in Time because it just don't even look interesting to me. But we'll see. And one of my friends called and said they want to go. Maybe I'll go check it out with them. So move on to Simone. So Dr. Simone is upset that Quad is 45 minutes late for their lunch date. Now, I admit I'm late all the time, but I don't think 45 minutes late seems a lot when somebody's waiting on you at a restaurant. But I did have an issue once where I was like 5 or 10 minutes late, and when I got to the restaurant, the person I was meeting was actually walking to her car leaving. And I thought it was funny because I'm thinking, you know me like 20, 30 years, and you like in your feelings because I'm 5 minutes late when you already knew I was going to be 5 or 10 minutes late. But honey, I was unbothered. She was upset, thought she had to prove the point, but hey, it is what it is. So when Quad finally arrives, Simone, really wanted to apologize for the argument that they had on the boat. She starts talking about, why everybody is so sensitive in the group. And she thinks it's because they, work so hard to conceal their truths and what they're really going through, and they don't want to open up and share with the group. So when people, touch a nerve, then all of a sudden everything becomes explosive. And so, Quad goes into one of her monologues, and then Simone says that she's convinced that Quad is incapable of receiving the truth. So I guess she just gonna give up on Quad. So then the conversation goes to Quad and Dr. G's marriage, and once again, she starts with one of her monologues. I told y'all, when Quad get to talking, all I hear is wah, 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 wah. That's all I hear. So she's going on about that, and I'm just thinking, Quad really doesn't think she plays a role in the breakdown of her marriage, and I know I say that on every recap that I do, but so far she hasn't changed my opinion of that. And I think it's sort of like, Jackie and how she was reacting with Curtis, but then once she had that aha moment back there in Barbados, then she realized, what, I did play a role in this, and so let me get out my feelings and meet this man halfway so we can work that out. But somehow I don't see that happening with Quad and Dr. G. Next up, we have Dr. Jackie, and we have a scene where Curtis is moving back into the house. Yep, y'all know I want to see Jackie and Curtis win. I want to see all marriages win. But Curtis came, he just had one bag, and Jackie was like, well, where the rest of your stuff at? And he said, well, this is all I took. So I guess Curtis knew he was coming back home, that it was just a matter of time. Now, I don't know what Curtis does for a living. I thought he was a high school basketball coach, and then I heard he wasn't a high school basketball coach. But Curtis said he was thinking about taking some time off from work or cutting back at work. So if y'all know what Curtis do for a living, can y'all leave it in the comments so I can know what Curtis does for a living? So, but then Jackie let him know that, even though she's letting him come back home, that he's not coming back in her bedroom, and that he's going to be staying downstairs. She's going to keep the bedroom upstairs. And then she takes him into the guest room and tells him, these are your new sleeping quarters. And Curtis was looking like, what the hell is you talking about? Like, why? You had me come back home just to tell me I got to sleep downstairs? I'm with you, Curtis. Like, if I ain't getting back in the bed with you, I could have stayed over where I was at, wherever he's staying at. I don't even know where Curtis is staying at. But, he had to swallow his pride and realize that this is a process, and that, if he play along to get along, eventually he'll make his way back up those stairs. And I can't remember if it was this episode or if it was the scenes for next week's episode. So if I'm jumping ahead of myself, I apologize. But it was a scene where Jackie was on her computer and Curtis was standing at the table looking at her like, you just got home and you're already charting. And then Jackie realized what she was doing and she closed the laptop down. So I was like, okay, y'all getting there, y'all getting there. So then let's move over to Miss Quad. So, Lord, they are having that doggone couples therapy group again, which I'm starting to think is kind of pointless. And Quad has that same stank attitude that she always has. And she says that absolutely nothing has changed in their marriage. I guess nothing helped, with the trip that they went on. None of their little exercises are working. And so Dr. G says that he is sick of Quad and her nasty attitude, and so are the rest of us. So he's being open, about his feelings and how she makes him feel when she's talking down to him and saying that, he's not doing, anything for her, that he's not being supportive of her. So Quad starts reading the laundry list of all, her great qualities, what she offers and what she's bringing to the marriage. And so Dr. G says that she named the qualities of a buddy, not a wife. Like he could get all the things she was saying about being attentive, listening to him, and all of this here. He can get that from one of his homeboys. Like he needs her to possess some of these wifely qualities that he's expecting, like having a baby Quad, like having sex with him Quad. So I was like, okay, it's about to get hot and heavy here. Then one of the guys jumped in and tells Dr. G, that he's putting the onus on him to be the one to apologize, when the tit for tat begins, so that they can end the day on a good note instead of, going back and forth and then going to bed angry with each other. So then Quad brings up that she was at the nail salon and that Dr. G called and wanted to argue, and she was sitting there in front of 15 people. And then he counters and says that he's given so much to her, and for her to be upset because her husband called her and she couldn't even give him 5 minutes of her time. And, he was like, well, I apologize. Maybe I expect too much, and, my expectations are too high for you, Miss Quad. So far be it for him, to break up her aromatherapy and getting her massage and her nails done or whatever she was doing, that she sitting there, all laid back with her hands in the manicure bowls, and can't even put the phone, take him off speaker and put the phone, to her ear and hear what he has to say to her. And so then, he places his hand on Quad's leg, and then she was like, don't you touch me. So the other couples was looking like, what the hell is going on? So then all of a sudden, Dr. G started foaming at the mouth and fell out on the floor. So Quad was just sitting there looking at him like, what is he doing? Then the other couples was looking at her like, your husband just fell on the floor. He got foam coming out his mouth, and you seem so unconcerned and unbothered. So then Dr. G, he jumped up and sat back on the sofa, and I was like, Lord, what in the world is going on? So once they realized that Dr. G was just playing around, one of the men mentioned that, his wife, she needs quality time in her downtime. And so when she goes to the beauty salon or the nail salon or whatever it is that she's doing to relax, he doesn't bother her because he knows that, she's spent the day taking care of the house and taking care of the kids. So, he doesn't want to interrupt her rejuvenating her spirit. And Dr. G was like, there you go right there. The key word is she's been with the kids all day. I can't even get a kid, so that doesn't work for me. And then he got upset and walked out. Now, my question is, what is the purpose of them wives being there? Because it seems like the men are the only ones that's talking to Quad and Dr. G. The women are just sitting there, so I don't know if they sitting there like, Quad is crazy, if they sitting there like they don't want to get into a confrontation with her. Like, I don't understand why these women aren't saying anything. Like, are they just very passive and their men take the lead? Like, who are these people? What is their expertise and specialty that they can be coming over there trying to give counseling to another married couple? And I just think that the wives need to pull Quad to the side and check her and tell her, girl, you're crazy. Like, you are the problem here. And I know someone on Twitter was like, oh, the editing is making Quad look bad. And I just can't even imagine what they can be doing in the editing process that could make Quad look the way that she's looking on this season of the show that she isn't putting out. I mean, she's putting this out, no doubt about it. Now, maybe they're cutting out some things that Dr. G may be saying or doing, but what Quad is saying and doing is very disrespectful to her marriage and to her husband. And like so many people are tweeting that she has, gotten above herself, that she done built this platform, or so she thinks, and so she doesn't need Dr. G anymore. And if that's the case, then she needs to be like Jackie told Curtis at the reunion last year. Like, if I can't give you what you want, if you're not happy with me, then you need to go find somebody else to be happy with. So Quad needs to give Dr. G permission to go on out there and find him a woman that's going to be the type of wife that he needs and that's going to give him the children that he wants. Because remember, a man's clock doesn't run out. It's the woman's clock that run out. So Dr. G could be 50, 60 years old, go find him a young thing and have the baby that he so desperately wants. On this episode, like, all the interactions with the different couples was so short because the DNA reveal party pretty much took over the episode. So we had a little short scene with Dr. Contessa. You know, she's still mourning the loss of losing Miss Renee. I don't know why. So I'm like, I hope this isn't going to be her storyline forever. And so, you know, she's talking about, you know, feeling guilty. You know, we done heard the conversation on every episode, on the last 10 episodes, where she's feeling guilty, you know, what her mom sacrificed to be there for them and make sure that she didn't miss anything. And so she's been thinking that she's going to put in her 2 weeks notice. I'm like, doctors put in 2 weeks notices. So, but she decides she's going to take some time off and be a stay-at-home mom. And I'm thinking, Dr. Contessa, like most people that are doctors, they have a passion for what they're doing. And it's going to be really hard for you to just sit at home and not practice your trade. And even if you do it part-time, I just think that you're going to want to be in your area of expertise, helping people. So this is my suggestion to you, Dr. Contessa. How about you call up one of these nanny agencies and start interviewing some nannies? And I'm going to tell you, those women that come from Haiti and that come from Africa, they make great nannies. Look, they will love on your kids. They will teach your kids some discipline. They will help you around the house. They ain't trying to sleep with your husband or anything else. So I think that you need to stop the whining, stop complaining, stop feeling guilty, and get you a nanny and replace Miss Renee, because Miss Renee don't need to come back and don't look like she's trying to come back. So at the end of the day, Scott said that, you know, they're going to make it work, and if she wants to do this, he's going to support her, and we're going to see how long this lasts. So now we move over to the DNA reveal party. So Heavenly has gone all out for the little reveal party, and so we're doing like the Coming to America theme again, you know, where we throwing petals on the ground and all of that. And so I don't know why Heavenly and Dr. G are wearing coordinating outfits because remember, it was supposed to be African attire, but the only two people that looked like they was a couple was Heavenly and Dr. G. They had on like the same design and everything. So Curtis and Jackie missed the memo about attire because they didn't come in African attire. And, you know, as they walk in, you know, the ladies, well, not the ladies, Quad and Toya, because they seem to be the only ones with an issue that Jackie is giving Curtis another chance. So Curtis lets the, you know, so they're like giving the side eye, you know, just don't want to be happy for Jackie. So Curtis lets the guys know that, you know, things are going good between him and Jackie. And I can't remember if he said that he was back home. But then over on the other side, you know, the ladies catch up and Contessa shares that, you know, she's leaving medicine. And, you know, they're trying to be supportive to her, you know, but Simone was like, she couldn't do it. You know, she missed some things with her kids, but she don't miss it to a point where she about to close her practice so she can be at home with them. But she lets, you know, Contessa say, well, at least give it a try and see what happens. So, you know, like I said, Toya is not happy that Jackie and Curtis are back together, but says that she's happy for Jackie. And I'm like, whatever, Toya, you either happy they back together or you're not happy that they back together, because as Monique says, the only thing that comes after butt is the bullshit. So they gather around the table, and I guess they had already eaten. Oh, and this was another funny thing. So it was an African-themed reveal party, but she had Caribbean-themed food. So I don't know what Heavenly was thinking about. So after they get through eating, everybody gets up. You know, she had made it like charts and everything. And I thought it was interesting that Heavenly had already read the results, but she read the results, had them blown up into posters, and then she had them covered up. And when each person came up, you know, she unveiled their DNA, and then they read what the percentages were. It started with Toya, and Toya is 79% Sub-Saharan Africa and 4% British. And, you know, and there were some other little percentages in there, but these were the ones that they focused on. And then Mariah turned out to be 80% West African. Contessa was 74% Sub-Saharan African. Jackie was 70% African, 27% European, which I thought was interesting. Simone, 72% West African, 16.7% European. And Quad was, 9.2% European and 90% West African. So have you guys ever done the Ancestry.com DNA test? My sister did it. So she read the results, and I think, if I'm remembering correctly, she was like 70% African, but it was Cameroon. I think it was 70% Cameroon, which I thought was funny because I think that Africans from Cameroon are so goddamn sexy and good looking. So that could be why I'm kind of like drawn to, if I ever go to Africa, I'm going to have to snatch me up one of them. And then the other 30% was, or 25% was European. And I remember when I was telling my mom what the results were, she was like, oh, I know there was some Indian in there. And I was like, well, no, Mama, there was no Indian in the breakdown. And she was like, well, it has to be because my mama, she was part Indian. And I said, no, I don't think your mama was part Indian. She might have been part white, but she wasn't part Indian. But my mom seemed like she was so devastated to find out there wasn't no Native American in her, in my sister's DNA. So then somebody had asked me, why are you going to go get yours done? So I said, well, me and my sister had the same mama and daddy, so I don't need to go get my DNA done. And so it got me to thinking, like, I thought the whole thing was cute about the DNA reveal, and I'm planning our family reunion for Thanksgiving weekend. And at first I was like, oh, maybe we could do something like that. But then I got to thinking, no, that probably wouldn't be a good look, because just like me and my sister have grown up, we got the same parents. What if siblings who have grown up believing they got the same mama and daddy do the test, and the tests are totally different? Can y'all imagine the mess that would make? So I'm thinking, no, I'm going to go with my sister's results. I'm not doing the DNA thing. Maybe I'll do the DNA testing at the reunion. But, they can just get their results when they get home and do with them whatever they please. Oh, and then Heavenly, I left her off. Heavenly was 80% African, and I don't think she ever said, I think the other 20% was European or something. So then Toya brings up the couple's trip and points out the fact that, Heavenly had told her that the reason she was doing the DNA reveal party was, her way of making up for what happened on the trip. And so she says that, she wanted to apologize, for her bad behavior and the way that she acted, when the last night they were there, and she refused to answer the questions. So then she goes to Quad and brings up the fact that Quad paid $170,000 for that Mercedes Jeep thing she bought, and which we haven't seen since she bought it. So we don't even know what happened with Quad and Dr. G when he saw the truck. And I think I brought that up in another recap that I did. Like, what happened to that whole situation? So Toya says that she was salty towards Quad because some company Quad is connected to is facing bankruptcy, and Quad, was they went to lunch or something, and Quad threw in her face about her tax problems. I don't even know why we had to have this discussion at the party. Like, y'all can't call each other on the phone and talk about these issues. Why y'all always got to ruin people's parties? So Simone says that she don't even understand what they're talking about because they both housewives. They both depending on men to take care of them. So they need to just really let it go. So then Quad and Toya start arguing, and Quad says that Toya needs a job more than she does. So I'm like, okay. So Dr. Damon decides that, he's going to leave. He's tired of being at these events and these dinners and parties, and all the women do is fight, and he's tired of it. He don't want to hear it. It's putting him in a bad space. So he says that, so Heavenly was like, well, Daddy, I'll go with you. So he said, no, you stay. This your party. So then somehow the women and the men got separated, and the men were in another part of the restaurant, and they were talking about the women and how catty they are and they can't get along. And then Eugene, for some reason, goes in and addresses the women and says to the women, you know, why can't we ever just have a good time? And then they were, you know, telling him it wasn't none of his business and it was, you know, not his place to be confronting them. Now, I think what Eugene told them they were acting like was a bunch of cunts. But some people thought he said that they were acting like the N-word. But whatever it was, the arguing ceased. Because that was the only thing they heard. And so then Heavenly was like, no, what you're not going to do is come in here and call us out our name. Like, how rude and disrespectful. And then Simone, you know, has to get Eugene out of the room because, you know, they was about to come for him. So then all the men, you know, gathered to discuss the women's bad behavior. And they talked to Eugene and tell him that he was wrong and that he has to go back in there and apologize. So Heavenly, of course, is upset that once again, something she tried to do for the couples has been ruined by the arguing and the bickering. So the men get Eugene together. You know, Curtis is like, no, man, you can't just let this simmer. Go on back in there. Before Eugene gets back inside, the Quad tries to apologize for how she made Toya feel, but just as quickly turned it into shade, so it wasn't a real apology. So then the men come back in and Eugene sits at the head of the table like it was a tribal meeting. And then all the men like gathered behind him, you know, for support, moral support, something that the women don't know nothing about. And so he apologizes and says that, you know, he shouldn't have said, you know, the word that he said. But, you know, he sees them arguing and about to fight and it hurts his feelings. And he's, you know, used a hurtful word, but, you know, he apologizes, but he just needs for them to stop. So then Simone jumps in and starts arguing, saying that he can't call women petty and out of their name. And I'm just like, did you not hear anything the man said? The man is saying, y'all keep disrupting what people are trying to do to have a good time. And nobody wants to be arguing and fighting every time they leave the house. So they all so basic, and that was pretty much how the show ended. So guys, let me know what you think about this episode. Rate the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Leave your comments below, and until the next time, I hope everyone has a wonderfully blessed week. So I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye-bye.